What's up, guys? We are back, and you already know what time it is. It is time for the next installment of our hypothetical Gen 9 Pokemon series. After we ended the starter series, I asked you all if you wanted to keep going, make a whole generation of new Pokemon, and I really wasn't surprised at all to hear that the answer was a resounding yes. Now, I'm guessing that the Game Freak design team probably doesn't actually do it this way, but my thought is that we'd go through our fake Pokedex numerically, starting with the starters and ending with the legendaries. Every Pokemon generation sticks to this formula with their respective Pokedex, but it does leave room for improvisations between numbers 1 and, well, whatever the last number will be. There is, however, one other consistency across all generations since Pokemon's conception, and that is the Route 1 normal types. With a few minor exceptions, every Pokemon game introduces the player into the new world with a 2-stage normal type rodent Pokemon and a 3-stage normal and flying type bird Pokemon. These Pokemon tend to have relatively simple designs and follow similar design conventions to the starters, where they develop from small, cute little babies into powerful, visually imposing beasts. In newer generations, the Pokemon also take inspiration from myths, stories, and animals native to the culture or country that the region is based off of. While a lot of these Pokemon can be dismissed as weak, plain, or uninspired, there is a lot of thought that goes into each and every one of them, and beneath their unassuming facade, there is a lot of creativity and charm that I think some of you may already have a good appreciation for. Now, for my Route 1 normal types, as we'll call them, I want to pay respect to the traditions of past Pokemon games, but I also want to shake things up a little bit, as I'll explain later. Pokemon games are nothing if not spontaneous, and I have a great appreciation for the way the Game Freak puts new spins on old trends. I also want to include a good amount of geographical and cultural influence from the real-world inspiration of this new region, Mexico. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy 5 new Pokemon for our hypothetical Generation 9. Starting with the 2-stage normal type rodent Pokemon. Now, of course, not all of these Pokemon in every generation have been based off of actual rodents. A more accurate blanket term would be small furry mammals, I suppose. The real-life animal I was basing my design off of, however, is a rodent, the agouti. Native to Middle and South America, there are several species of agouti that range in size from about that of a guinea pig, their close cousins, to up to 2 feet in length. Now, in addition to just being based off of these cute little furballs, I wanted to integrate a secondary visual theme into the evolutionary line that would stay consistent in the second form. A few of you have suggested basing this Pokemon off of the ancient Mesoamerican myth of the moon rabbit, and I liked that idea. And yeah, PACUNA is clearly not a rabbit, but hey, this is a Pokemon, not a biology class. If a Tanuki can evolve into a ferret, then an agouti can evolve into a rabbit. The name is the hybridization of Paca, which is the name of a family of rodents that was once grouped with the agoutis, and Luna, hinting to the Pokemon's connection with the moon. I wanted to reflect this in the colors too. Traditionally, these Route 1 rodents have primarily brown color schemes, but adding in some silver-white for the moon-shaped markings on the Pokemon helped drive home that lunar theme a little bit more. PACUNA, the nibbling Pokemon. Many people consider PACUNA to be pests, as their insatiable appetite for fruits and seeds drives them to decimate crops and farmlands in search of food. Their teeth are strong enough to bite through even the strongest nutshell, and are made of an iridescent material that reflects light in such a way that the Pokemon can use it to temporarily blind predators. The markings on their bodies also shine in a similar way, and on full moons, you can spot a PACUNA in the pitch black by looking for the light reflecting off of their glistening fur. I called the second stage of PACUNA Laguna, a combination of Lagomorph, the order that rabbits belong to, and Luna. Coincidentally, Laguna Beach is also the name of a city in Southern California not far from the border of the US and Mexico. Anyway, like I mentioned before, I wanted this Pokemon to be based off of the popular myth of the moon rabbit, which actually exists in several different cultures all around the world and throughout history, as well as in Middle America. There are actually 2 myths surrounding the rabbit and the moon in Mesoamerican mythology. One, from the ancient Aztecs, tells a story of a brave rabbit that sacrificed herself to save the god Quetzalcoatl from starving to death, and in return, he granted her immortality in the form of, well, imprinting her image on the moon. Another legend speaks of the creation of the sun and the moon, wherein the sun god willingly sacrificed himself in fire to become the sun, and the moon god hesitated 4 times before doing the same. So, to humiliate the moon, the gods, well, they threw a rabbit at him. Both stories originate from the apparent image of a rabbit imprinted on the moon, kind of like how in Western cultures we talk about the man in the moon. So this Pokemon, while still being overall somewhat simple in design, was going to have some otherworldly imagery involved in it, and I pushed that with some saturated blues that gave it a very ethereal and mythological feel. Balanced with the mundane brown, it felt like a strange animal that, though maybe common, still alludes to some unearthly power. Laguna, the hare Pokemon. There is an ancient legend that says that the moon got its crescent shape when a Laguna jumped so high into the night sky that it took a bite out of the moon. Laguna do seem to have some connection with the moon, gathering in groups of hundreds on a night when it is visible, and for days after, their white fur glows with a silvery light. It may be because of their affinity for staring straight at the moon that their eyesight is very poor, but their hearing is unmatched by any Pokemon, and you will see them lift one ear out of the brush to listen for potential threats. Now we're moving on to the 3-stage Route 1 bird Pokemon. Now, there is a bunch of potential when it comes to finding a species of Mexican bird that could be used to base this Pokemon off of. My first thought, of course, was the Quetzalcoatl, but it seemed a little repetitive after a fire starter. Then Claire suggested a Roadrunner, which would be a great deviation from the trend of large, flight-oriented birds that the previous generation had based their Route 1 flying types off of. The first stage of this line, however, I based more off of a Yucatan wren. Though not closely related to Roadrunners, wrens share a lot of similar physical characteristics, such as the upright tail and the thin, curved beak. The whole line was going to be based around speed, and as I designed the first form, I considered having it evolve into an electric flying type hybrid. For the first form, though, I thought it would be appropriate and interesting if it was ground and flying type. I loved this little guy a lot. It felt very different both in shape and color from the other Route 1 flying types. Renner, the swift chick Pokemon. Renner can run from the instant they hatch. In fact, it's often the first thing that the Pokemon do. They are hyper alert and are very attuned to vibrations in the earth. The slightest footstep within their vicinity will send them bolting off in a straight line, and they'll often keep running until they hit something. While poor flyers, they are excellent jumpers and simulate flying by leaping into the air and gliding short distances with their underdeveloped wings. In the second stage of this line, I had another idea to tie in with the Roadrunner theme. I have this memory of seeing Roadrunners at a zoo and thinking, yep, those are dinosaurs. I mean, all birds have dinosaur-ish features, but Roadrunners are exceptionally prehistoric looking. Their little crests, the way they prefer walking over flying, they're really amazing looking animals. Anyway, I wanted the second stage to look as if it was halfway between birds and their prehistoric ancestors, giving it a very upright stance and spurs on its wingtips that implied vestigial claws. I also wanted to push the electric typing in this stage a bit more, as well as introduce a shooting star visual theme. I imagined the Pokemon zipping across the desert at night with the same speed, light, and energy of a comet miles up in the sky. AVEOR, the Star Runner Pokemon. Known by locals as the Comet of the Sands, AVEOR can reach speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. As it approaches max speed, the friction in its feathers produces large amounts of static electricity, and sparks fly from its body, leaving a trail of light behind it as it runs. It is thought by scientists that it is an evolutionary descendant of the fossilized bird found in the Galar region, but inconclusive research and a lack of complete specimens of the prehistoric species has prevented anyone from proving this theory. And for the final stage of this form, I was going pretty unapologetically raptor with it. I mean, let's be honest, replace the beak with some teeth and add some extra digits on the wings, and a Roadrunner is basically a small theropod anyway, so it's not too much of a stretch. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I wanted to break away from some of the common design conventions that we've seen in older games. For the past 6 generations, the final form of these flying types have all had very similar shapes: round bodies, large wings, and small, short legs. Roadraptor was going to break all of those trends and then some. Adding the electric to its typing also helped prevent it from being one of those Pokemon that are really only useful in the story mode of the game, but lack a competitive edge. Yes, it's pretty self-indulgent, but I hope that some of you guys like it too, because I'm really happy with it. Roadraptor, the shooting star Pokemon. Though at one point in its evolutionary history it used speed as an escape, Roadraptor now utilizes its unrivaled running skills to chase down prey. The muscles in its legs work like a generator, converting kinetic energy into electricity and expelling it throughout the Pokemon's body. The faster it runs, the more power it can build up. It can use this energy to launch itself into the sky, where it glides above the desert searching for targets. It then drops like a stone onto its prey, leaving behind it a trail of yellow light, reminiscent of a comet. So there it is, guys! What do you think of my new Pokemon? Tell me which one was your favorite, and what you would have done differently in your own designs. For the next video, I think I'm going to do a 3-stage Bug-type Pokemon, so let me know if you have any ideas for that. Remember, the theme of our region is Mexico, but don't let yourself be limited too much by that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, it's been a pleasure as always, and I'll see you all in the next video.